Hi everyone, it's John from What Up, and welcome back to another video. And we're talking The Wheel of Time Season 2 and The Great Hunt, and a very important character to that book that is not important to the rest of the books, Lord Ingtar. So if you're new to the channel, you don't know what we do here, we cover Wheel of Time show news. If you like that sort of thing, make sure you subscribe to the channel because we talk Wheel of Time all the time. I'm a big fan of the Wheel of Time books and show, and that's what this whole channel is basically about. There's nothing too small or too big to talk about. We put out a couple of videos per week, and I do have a leaks video coming. I mentioned this earlier. I have a leaks video coming probably at the end of this week, maybe early next week, or this weekend. Not entirely sure how my schedule is going to pan out here, but it's about some of the storylines in Season 3, where some of the major players are going to be, and how they're going to be connected to those storylines. So you're not going to miss that. It's another one-up exclusive. I have a few of them here and there. I'm pretty excited about that one because it's some interesting stuff. So make sure, if you haven't already subscribed, do so for that, because I'm not entirely sure when that's coming out. I don't want you folks to miss it. All right, so since we're talking Season 2 and Book 2, I do have to give a bit of a spoiler warning because I'm going to ruin some stuff for you. And I'm going to try to keep the spoiler warning as light as possible. I'll do it to maybe the third book. So, spoiler warning. If you've not watched the first season and the second season of Sony Namzoon's Wheel of Time show, streaming right now on Prime Video, it's episodes 1 through 8 of both, or have not read the first 3 books of the Wheel of Time series, that's The Eye of the World, The Great Hunt, and The Dragon Reborn, be forewarned, I may ruin plot points and character arcs from both of those mediums. Although this video may be more for people who haven't read the books that are interested in what the storyline is with this character in the book series. All right, that being said, let's get on to the video. All right, so we're going to talk about Lord Ingtar in the books first. So if you haven't read the books and you ignore the spoiler warning, this is the section that's going to explain his character to you a little bit better, I think, than what we saw in the show. Then we'll talk about the show Ingtar, because he was very, very different. And then we'll get into the scenes they filmed and cut, the sources from it, and my confirmation of that as well. So, Lord Ingtar in the books he was a minor character in the second book, and he only basically really appeared much in the second book, but he was incredibly important, and he added a lot of flavor to the story. Think of him as like a spice to the story that makes it more. It makes it more. It makes it a little bit better. So Lord Ingtar is seen a lot in the early parts of the books as being frustrated and angry that he's not doing enough to fight the Shadow. So in the book series, everyone's still on Fal Dara when the book starts. Show they were not. They were on their separate ways, but Rand was still there. He's being trained by Lamb with a sword. He met the Amyrlin there. Lord Ingtar was there. Trollocs attacked Fal Dara. They actually get inside the keep. Lord Ingtar tried to fight a Fade. He couldn't quite get him. He got away. He was seen to be fighting a lot of Trollocs. He was really frustrated that he didn't kill enough of them. He seemed very angry when we see him on screen. Then when the horn was stolen, he was incredibly upset, and he was the one leading the hunt for the horn. So it was him and then a bunch of the other Shienarans, along with Rand, Mat, Perrin. They all went to go, hunt the horn. Loial came with them. They had a sniffer named Huron, who wasn't in the show either. And it wasn't until about partway through the hunt that Rand, Loial, and Huron got ported through a portal stone into a mirror world, and they left the main party. Perrin then helped, using his Wolf Brother skills, to help Lord Ingtar track the horn and the dagger, and they tracked it all the way to Cairhien, and while they were in Cairhien, they met back up with Rand. And from there, all of them went to Falm, because that was where Fane had taken the dagger and the horn. So they followed the horn. They were chasing the dagger for Mat and the horn for, well, because it was the Horn of Valir, the entire book. And it was a very central part of the story. Then once in Falm, rather, we find out that Lord Ingtar's a dark friend. He's the one who let the Trollocs into Fal Dara. He had done a ton of horrible things his whole life, and the reason he's been so passionate and so insistent about finding the Horn of Valir is because it's his salvation. If he blows the horn, it's his salvation. He can walk again in the light. He can come out from under the thumb of the darkness, and be a free man again, so to speak. But it's not his salvation he should have been thinking about, and there was a prophecy that was given during the book, 5 ride forth, 4 return, and it was a really, in my mind, a very powerful scene in the books when Lord Ingtar says, "It's a narrow passage, one man could hold 50 here, it's not a bad way to die," and he yells for the light and Shnawa, and then he basically holds the pass and dies to allow the main characters of the books to sort of escape. really, really emotional scene with Lord Ingtar, but it was built up. So from the very start of the book, he was there. He was there throughout the whole hunt. You got a little bit of his character. You didn't see much of his backstory or anything, but he was fleshed out as a character throughout the entire book, just as much as any of the other characters, minor characters like Loyal were. And then he sacrificed himself to save everyone after finding out he was a dark friend. Really, really powerful stuff, and something that I myself, and I think a lot of other people, really hope to see on screen for season 2, and it never happened. So what did we see? Well, we saw Lord Ingtar leading the hunt with a couple of scenes here and there. I had complaints about Perrin's storyline, how it was too short, too abbreviated for season 2. He needed more time on screen. Lord Ingtar was a very brief period of that. He then was captured, made it to Fulham. All of this kind of happened off screen, the in-between. We've seen him in Fulham a couple times here and there. He may have a line or two. He's not really that important. He's not really stressed upon as being a main character or a main plot point at all. And you do get a little bit of fan service near the end when he does state the line, one man can hold 50 here, and then he does for the Light Shanawa, and he dies, and you get to see him die on screen. But it wasn't impactful because he wasn't built up as a character. He didn't have much time on screen. He didn't interact with many people. You didn't find out he was a dark friend first. He was doing all this for salvation. All of that was left out. Now, Winter's Coming, and I've left the link to the article down below, did announce that that scene was filmed. Now, I'd known the scene was filmed probably about a month and a half ago, but I never even thought to make a video on it, so I can't confirm 100% what they say is true. The scene was filmed. From what I was told from the production standpoint was they had revealed that Barthanes was a dark friend the week prior. Lord Ingtar wasn't built up that much during the season, so he didn't have much emotional impact or value to the show's fans. And they filmed the scene, but it didn't play well because they'd just done the same thing. They revealed Barthanes as a dark friend. He had sacrificed things, and it was going to kill his aunt and perhaps his own mother. The episode before, and that was supposed to be a fairly powerful thing. They thought this was very weak following it up afterwards, because Ingtar wasn't really a character that most people cared about for the second season because they didn't kind of frame him that way. So it didn't play well, so they cut it. So I can't confirm that is exactly what happened. Did I enjoy that? No. However, I think it was a very smart decision. So Ingtar itself, if he was brought to the forefront for the second season, had more screen time, you saw more of him. He was more emotional investment in his character than the fans did because we barely saw him on screen. I think it would have been smart to go with that at the end of the season, do the 5 ride forth for return, the whole salvation route of Ingtar. It would have been a very powerful moment. However, they didn't do any of that. They didn't build him up as a character. He was barely on screen. He didn't have many lines. He wasn't endearing. In fact, I talked to a lot of non-book readers about him recently before making this video, and it's not that they forgot who he was, but he really wasn't that important to them. It wasn't a character that anyone paid attention to. Now, maybe if you're a non-book reader and if you watched the show, let me know in the comments down below what you thought of Ingtar during the second season. Do you think he was important? Do you think you had any emotional investment in him? People I talked to didn't really, so there's that. Now, I think it was very smart because they did none of those things. So to have a big reveal at the end that he's a dark friend, he did all these terrible things and he's doing this for salvation, but his real salvation will be saving his friends. I think it would have fallen completely flat. So smart to cut that out. Now, that goes to show that there are a number of plot lines, characters, and arcs in the book series like this, where it's a one book or maybe a multi-book arc with a minor character that has very, very important roles to play that are really, really important to the fans of the book series, because as you're reading the books, it's really easy to build up minor characters and make you emotionally invested in them and then have something happen later. The show, it's harder to do that because you have to give them screen time to do that. And right now, I'm already complaining about the lack of screen time for characters. 8 episodes, an hour, just over an hour long, is not enough. And I did a video on this not too long ago, a couple months ago, about how there's thoughts at Amazon and Sony at the executive level of doing even less. I may do another video on that because I have some updated information on that. But either way, we should be happy, lucky, and excited we have 8 episodes per season and they're not cutting it further. That's all I'll say about it for now, because that was at one point on the table, and it may still be on the table too. So, like I said, in another one of my videos, completion rates are all that Amazon cares about. They care that somebody finishes a series, start to finish. That is a win in their books. If somebody watches a couple of episodes, it's not a win. They don't count that as good metrics. So if there's less episodes and less time, it's easier for people to finish. That's a win in their books. So gone are the heyday of network television when we had 26, 30, 32, 35 episodes. There's a reason it was called a season back then. It's because it covered multiple actual seasons. You had a fall season, you had a winter season, you had a spring season, and then you broke for the summer, and then you had summer shows. Streaming services don't do that. Everything is like 6 episodes, 8 episodes. They don't do the big long arcs anymore. So fitting these minor characters in and giving them screen time to pay off something that is very important to book readers probably is not going to happen, because they don't have enough time with the main characters. So I think that a lot of these storylines, like Ingtars, are going to continue to be cut. They may be introduced as a bit of fan service. Here, this is his character. Maybe they'll say a couple of their lines, but that'll be it. They'll be one and done, or maybe a couple of shots and then done for the season. I think we're going to see a fair bit of that, and there are a number of the characters I can think of that are like that in the book series that people really, really love, that maybe are not going to get the same love on screen, because it's going to be hard to. They're going to have some major surgery on the books to make it fit the screen. Either way, let me know in the comments down below what you folks thought. If you've read the books, were you surprised what they did with Ingtar? Were you happy with the fact that they didn't try to shoehorn that last scene that they filmed in? That I think that I myself personally like the fact they cut it. I think it would have looked kind of silly after not building him up. If you didn't read the books and you didn't know much about Ingtar during the season, did you think he was an important character at all? Or was he just kind of there? Let me know your thoughts and comments down below. All right, thank you so very much for sticking with us here at the very end. Here's to many more.